Is it starting? It says preparing to. Okay, looks like it might be streaming now. I'm Renee Hobbs. I'm with Catherine Morris here, and we're doing a session called Mini Podcast Demonstration Lesson. We're here with Courageous Rhode Island. This is the project that is designed to use media literacy and active listening to reduce the fear and hate that lead to violence. In this session, you and somebody who's also on this webinar today are going to make a mini podcast. And the reason why we're hosting this event now is because in just a couple of weeks, the Youth Media Contest will be closing up, and we're going to be awarding $7,000 in prizes. And this workshop will help you help young people in middle school, high school, or college. I guess there's another little secret, isn't it? We've received a lot of submissions so far, but you know what? We haven't received any audio submissions. Oh, so what does that mean, Catherine?
Well, what that means really is that if you or one of your students submit an audio project, you have a pretty great shot at one of our prizes that we're giving out, since we're going to give out a couple of audio prizes.
Exactly. So we want to demonstrate the power of active listening and media literacy, and we want to do it by using a really cool platform that we developed in conjunction with Courageous Conversations. Courageous Conversations were dialogue and discussion programs. We held a lot of them, and they basically created opportunities for people to really think about media, ask questions about media, learn about media, and learn about how other people make sense of this complex media culture that we're living in right now. The program's impact was pretty phenomenal. These Courageous Conversations, people experienced a lot of knowledge gain, and even more important, they found themselves applying what they learned into daily life. And when we realized how powerful these Courageous Conversations were, we wanted to figure out other ways people could listen in on them. And so the activity that we're going to do today comes from that project. It's called The Portal. The Portal is a way to listen in to some of the Courageous Conversations, and you can do it in a way that's way more dynamic than ordinary. Catherine, can you describe a little bit and show us a little bit about what makes the portal so cool?
Absolutely. So, as Renee was saying, we partnered with Cortico, which is an AI tool of deep listening and sense making from MIT. So, we created the portal, and this is a page on our website, courageousri.com, but you can click the yellow button to hop over to the portal. So basically, it's where the conversations live, now that we're not hosting them anymore. And so it allows us to listen in a way that's more dynamic than listening to just a single recording might be. And so the narrative pages, which you can see by clicking on conversations, I'm gonna hop over to my preloaded tab. I had a feeling that might take a minute. All right, we'll give that a second.
And I'm going to put I'm going to put the link in the chat there for those of you who want to follow along that way.
Awesome. So we'll see in a second the narrative pages, which have a button. The button will say conversations. So essentially what each page does is tell the story of that session. And it'll tell it in order in a way that makes sense and presents the voices and points of view from the conversation. So here they are. As you can see, we presented conversations surrounding 9 topics, and for each one, we'll go to the first one, you can see what our goals were for that session. You can see the media artifacts we presented. You can see the questions we prompted our participants to consider. And then in the small group discussion section, What you can see is you can read about the dialogue that followed, as well as listen to what people said in their own voices by clicking on the highlighted section, and then you can play a clip.
I just would not be surprised if I went into his account and found out that this is just like what his the format of video that he does.
So we're going to use this function on the portal to make a mini podcast using the portal as a stimulus to your reflection and critical thinking. So let's move on to today's activity.
Love it. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to introduce this talkback activity that involves basically encountering a bit of conversation on the portal and then having a conversation about it. We're going to record our mini podcast using our smartphones. Catherine and I are going to demonstrate how to make a mini podcast, and then that'll only take us about 7 minutes. And then we're going to partner you up with a partner, and you and your partner are going to make a mini podcast. So pay attention to what Catherine and I are doing, because in just about 7 minutes, you and a perfect stranger, or maybe a new friend, are going to be doing the same thing. We think it's such a powerful experience to be able to like exercise your listening muscles, your speaking muscles, and your thoughtful reflection on important ideas that are part of this discussion. So we're going to go to the part of your cell phone that says voice recorder. Catherine, I thought this was really cool. Will you explain what you're showing to us now?
Yes. So if you have an Android, smartphones typically have a built-in audio recording app. So if you have an Android, it might be called Voice Recorder. But if you have an iPhone, it's probably called Voice Memos. So when you pull up the app on your phone, if you have an iPhone, which Renee and I both do, so this is what we can show you, is that's what you'll see. And I'll hold it up as I'm using it when we demonstrate in our modeling in just a second. But before we start, I want to share something that we found really helped our conversations go smoothly and maintained a safe space even when people disagreed in our original sessions, because we want to carry them into this discussion as well. So these are our guidelines. And of course, these still apply as it relates to conversing with your partner in a couple minutes here. But additionally, I want us to remind us to be cognizant of the fact that when we listen to people's perspectives on the portal, first of all, they were engaging in an act of vulnerability to share their point of view publicly in the first place. And additionally, some of them might be, but most of them are not here to respond to any challenge, critique, or comment on their sharing. So because of that, we would like to invite all of us to be kind in our reflection as well. So that being said, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is navigate to the portal and choose a conversation topic. So I believe Renee
we put the link in the chat. So if you open that up on your own, now you can kind of see. And now, how do we choose a conversation, Catherine?
So you can click on the conversation button, not any of the drop downs, but the button itself, and you'll see all 9 here.
Oh, I love that.
The main focus question of that conversation. So you can choose based on which question speaks to you, essentially.
Oh, nice. So maybe you and your partner will do that one that was called, scroll up a little bit, Catherine, the influencers. How do we decide who to trust? Don't spend too much time on this because, again, we're just practicing and you're just practicing too. You'll get a chance to explore these more. Conflict entrepreneurs. Boy, that was a good one, Catherine. Which one are we going to use for our conversation?
I think maybe we can do the last session we did, falling down the rabbit hole.
What can you do to support the people in your life who may be moving toward radicalizations? Okay, that is actually a really great topic.
So
Okay, so
we were there for this event, to say the least. I don't think we need to review it before we start the podcast, but I'm going to recommend that you and your partner get a sense of what this session was about for maybe a minute or two before you start the recording. But for the sake of time, we'll just jump back in or right in. I'm going to click the red button to start recording in just a second, and then you'll see there will be a pause button. So I'm going to pause it for any moment we don't want to record so that we can talk to each other about what comes next.
So
All
wait a
right,
second,
so-
Catherine, hold on. Let me make sure I understand. So we're going to do a podcast where we actually we listen to somebody else's comment and then we offer a reflection on it. Is that right?
Exactly. So I'll
Cool.
have my phone record both the clip that we listened to and our thoughts. And then I'll pause it so that we can gather ourselves before we play the next one.
All right,
All
let's
right.
try it.
So I have the voice memo app here. When I start it, Renee, can you introduce us and briefly explain what the session we're talking about is all
Okay,
about?
I'll do that.
All right.
Hey, I'm Renee Hobbs, and I'm here with my colleague, Catherine Morris, and we're making a little piece of audio reflection to talk about the people in our lives who might be moving toward radicalization. The folks who've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with crazy conspiracy theories or hoaxes or some of the wacky anti-Semitic ideas that are floating around. So, we're going to listen to part of a conversation, a courageous conversation on the portal, and then we're going to talk about what we hear. Let's get started.
All right. So I paused the recording on
That's
iPhone.
great. Good.
It'll originally look like this. I had to scroll up to get the pause button.
Okay, now we have to pick a piece of voice from that small group discussion. We scroll down. You can see where it says small group discussion that there's like a little summary of it. And so we're reading through. Several participants shared experiences with hate-based harassment. Whoa. Okay. And a teacher described student behavior targeting another teacher, examples of prejudice, threats, hate speech, hateful atmosphere, discrimination, and harassment. One participant reflected on having to recover from the experience of hate-based harassment. So, Catherine, you're making a really good point when you say people made themselves kind of vulnerable as they told these stories, didn't they?
They really did. So maybe let's just start with any random clip. I'm going to resume the recording in just a second. So maybe I'll respond to this first one and then you can do the next one.
Perfect.
All right, I'm going to hit resume and then I will play the clip.
My students, I had to have one student removed because he was targeting everybody. And I should have called the police sooner, but the campus police sooner. I asked them to leave. It was pretty awful. And the other.
So I'm hearing this teacher describe an experience of, it sounds like a student of hers who was radicalized. And what I'm hearing from her is it sounds like she didn't know what to do. She's saying in reflection, I should have done X, Y, and Z, but I can only imagine in the moment feeling like, well, how do I help this student? I don't want to exclude them. Maybe she had a feeling that it would only make the radicalization worse. But at the same time, how do you help a student at the expense of your other students? I can really empathize for the challenge she was experiencing there.
Yeah, I think that's when you have that experience as a teacher, you don't easily forget it. And you do find yourself going back in Monday morning quarterbacking, going what I would have done, could have done, should have done. You hear that a little bit in her comment. Let's listen to another one.
All right, I paused it while we click to the next one. How about I will let's maybe skip and see. All right, I'll resume it and we'll play this one.
But her response was to sit in front of Facebook 12 hours a day and find all the things that explain why LGBTQ people are ruining the world. And at this point, her husband is wondering if they're going to have to divorce. He's just, she dropped out of our group and everything else she ever did. And
Wow. So this is a little bit, this reminds me of during the pandemic when we had nowhere to go and we were in our houses all the time, and how you can find yourself in rooms where people are saying things that are new to you. And this person is describing what it felt like. It feels like she lost a friend in the process. As this person got radicalized, she literally pulled away from her other social supports. Catherine, what did you notice about what you heard with that comment?
Yeah, I have to say, I couldn't stop thinking about an experience I had similar to this. I had a friend who um, felt she developed such extreme beliefs that she no longer felt like she wanted to engage with anyone who didn't share her beliefs.
Oh.
And yeah, the sad part about it is we all just kind of let her. And I wish, speaking of Monday morning quarterback, I wish we had been a little more empathetic and continued a sense of community. Maybe things would have been different.
Wow. So thank you for sharing that. And I appreciate how in our own conversation, we may use the clip from the portal as a stimulus for our own reflection. And that is kind of awesome. Okay, should we listen to one more, Catherine, before we conclude? This will be the one we go out on.
Let's do one more.
in some of these resources, how can I support them or offer some choices and step back and let them activate them or not? I found groups that do deprogramming and so forth, and I don't know what will work for her.
What did you
Renee,
notice
do you
about
want to
that
respond to
clip?
that?
Sure. I would say, it is interesting how she recognizes now the need to engage with people who have fallen down the rabbit hole. And that relates to a point you made earlier, Catherine, about how sometimes when people pull away, they just pull away and we don't even think about the opportunity to engage with them. And I think I'm looking in the little, I'm looking and seeing that it can be difficult to engage with people whose views are so very radicalized. And that's a big obstacle for us to think a little bit about. It can affect how we're able to empathize with them.
I have to say, I noticed the difficulty leading to wanting to lean on the experts to tell us. They mentioned deprogramming groups, and I can relate to that, feeling like this is too hard, and who am I to say what the right answer is? And maybe I don't have the time or energy or space for this, and I'm gonna let someone else handle it. And I noticed that turned into a reflection of, oh no, maybe all it takes is each and every one of us hanging on to our sense of community.
Beautiful. And compassion is, in fact, what we discovered in this journey was the magic ingredient. So, hey, thanks for engaging in the talk back with me, Catherine. I really enjoyed the opportunity to chat with you.
Yes, me too. Let's wrap it up now. All right, so I've paused it. And
we just made our first little voice recorder. Okay, so now how do we get it out into the world? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so let's go back to our slides here so I can show you. We have a Padlet wall. And so what I've done
Putting
here is
a
put a
link to
QR
that
code.
in the chat.
So before I do anything else, I'm going to, you can see I have to just hit done. And then it called it new recording 20. So I'm just going to give it a name so that I can make sense of what I'm looking at here. I'm going to call it Catherine and Renee.
And so you're
leave it at that.
renaming your voice recording. Good.
Just so I know when I upload it, what kind of file I'm looking for.
Nice.
And
Now,
then
and then what?
on iPhone, what I'm going to do is take those three little dots that are in the top right corner. It's going to give me some options. And I'm going to go down and where it says save to files. That's what I'm going to do. It gives me an option. It shows me my files. And then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to use my camera and scan the QR code. It'll pop up with a link. I've clicked
Okay.
it and it's pulling up the Padlet.
Open in Chrome.
Mine opened in Safari, but whatever you prefer. And I'm
Okay.
going to, mine is a green plus sign. And when I press that, there's two options. And one of them is to upload a file.
Ha
And then it asks me, do I want to take a picture or do I want to choose a file? I'm going to choose a file. And then it's my most recent one, Catherine and Renee, that I just named it. And it's going to take a second to upload. And in the subject, maybe I'll write Catherine and Renee again. And then I just have to hit publish.
Awesome. Okay, well, while we're waiting for that to publish, here's what we'd like you to do. We're going to break you into a group with a partner, and we're going to ask you to do what we just did. One way to do that is take a picture of that slide that's on, or a screenshot. Take a picture of that slide because that's the structure of this activity. Work with a partner, quickly choose a topic from the portal. Find the built-in recording app on your smartphone. Only one of you needs to do this. Whichever one wants to do it can do that. I didn't do it. Catherine did it. So that's cool. Then record the podcast by introducing yourself and the topic, playing a clip from the portal, and discuss what about it feels significant to you. You don't have to listen to it in advance. You can just respond. Holly, if you put the person you want to pair with in the chat, I'll pair you up. Why not? Why not? So you're going to do this for 3 clips, and then you're going to offer your little conclusion, and then you're going to scan that QR code, access the Padlet, and be okay. Hey, listen, Catherine, do me a favor. Stop sharing your screen right now. Let's just do a check-in and see how you're feeling. Pair me with anyone who isn't confused, says Craig. You rock, buddy. Tony and Tamar are going to be partners. That's great.
I think Tony, Tamar, and Holly, it looks like.
Oh, say that again?
Holly was the one who sent that message, so it sounds like she wants to be with Tony and Tamar.
Tony and Tamar. Okay. And hold on here. Okay. And let's see now. Craig wants to be with somebody who isn't confused. Okay. Scott Moss, you're never confused.
Huh?
I'm going to assign you to that room. Okay. Scott is going to be part of that room. And now room 3. How about Katie and Bob? And how about room 4? Holly and Catherine. How's that?
I think Holly wanted to be with
Tony or
Tamar.
Tony. Okay, hold on. Tony, I'm going to exchange Tony. And then Catherine, you be with Tamar, okay? So here's the—
I think they wanted to be a group of 3.
Oh, they want to be a group of 3? We could do that. Why not? Okay, Tamar, I'm moving you to room 4. So here's the thing. Craig and Scott, Bob and Katie, Holly, Tamar, and Sony. Now, Tony, we're going to give you guys 20 minutes to do this. Okay. And if you have the need of us, you're going to call us and we're going to come in and help you. But let's do a thumbs up, find the thumbs up button and tell me that you're ready to make a mini podcast. I know you're ready. Look at all those thumbs going up. All right. The rooms are open. Have a great conversation in making your Talkback mini podcast. Rooms are open. Make a new friend. Oh, Katie McNamara, you're even more beautiful than you were the last time I saw you. I can't hear you.
Do we want to pause our live stream?
Ooh, good idea. Let's see if I don't know if I can do that. Somehow, when it's live streaming, how do I? Yeah, but nope, it's just going to roll. It's going to roll.
Right.
All right, so let's go take a look at let's watch our production and give ourselves a critique. Okay, while we're waiting for somebody to need us. So where is our show here? Oh, look at, there it is. That's the new one, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's listen to it. Uh-oh.
Hey, I'm Renee Hobbs, and I'm here with my colleague, Catherine Morris, and we're making a little piece of audio reflection to talk about the people in our lives who might be moving toward radicalization, you know? The folks who've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with crazy conspiracy theories or hoaxes or some of the wacky anti-Semitic ideas that are floating around. So we're going to listen to part of a conversation, a courageous conversation on the portal, and then we're going to talk about what we hear. Let's get started.
All of my students, I had to have one student removed because he was targeting everybody. And I should have called the police sooner, but the campus police sooner. I asked him to leave. It was pretty awful. And the other...
So I'm hearing this teacher describe an experience of, it sounds like a student of hers who was radicalized. And what I'm hearing from her is it sounds like she didn't know what to do. She's saying in reflection, I should have done X, Y, and Z, but I can only imagine in the moment feeling like, well, how do I help this student? I don't want to exclude them. Maybe she had a feeling that it would only make the radicalization worse. But at the same time, how do you help a student at the expense of your other students? I can really empathize for the challenge she was experiencing there.
Experience as a teacher, you don't easily forget it. And you do find yourself going back and Monday morning quarterbacking, going what I would have done, could have done, should have done. You hear that a little bit in her comment.
Absolutely.
Let's listen to another one.
But her response was to sit in front of Facebook 12 hours a day and find all the things that explain why LGBTQ people are ruining the world. And at this point, her husband is wondering if they're going to have to divorce. He's just, she dropped out of our group and everything else she ever did. And
Wow. So this reminds me of during the pandemic when we had nowhere to go and we were in our houses all the time, and how you can find yourself in rooms where people are saying things that are new to you. And this person is describing what it felt like. It feels like she lost a friend in the process. As this person got radicalized, she literally pulled away from her other social supports. Catherine, what did you notice about what you heard with that comment?
Yeah, I have to say, I couldn't stop thinking about an experience I had similar to this. I had a friend who felt she developed such extreme beliefs that she no longer felt like she wanted to engage with anyone who didn't share her beliefs. And the sad part about it is we all just kind of let her. And I wish, speaking of Monday morning quarterback, I wish we had been a little more empathetic and continued a sense of community. Maybe things would have been different.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I appreciate how in our own conversation, we may use the clip from the portal as a stimulus for our own reflection. And that is kind of awesome. Mm-hmm. Should we listen to one more, Catherine, before we conclude? This will be the one we go out on.
Let's do one more.
In some of these resources, how can I support them or offer some choices and step back and let them activate them or not? I found groups that do deprogramming and so forth, and I don't know what will work for her.
So powerful.
Renee, do you want to respond to that?
Sure. I would say, it is interesting how she recognizes now the need to engage with people who have fallen down the rabbit hole. And that relates to a point you made earlier, Catherine, about how sometimes when people pull away, they just pull away. And we don't even think about the opportunity to engage with them. And I think I'm looking in the I'm looking and seeing that it can be difficult to engage with people whose views are so very radicalized. And that's a big obstacle for us to think a little bit about. It can affect how we're able to empathize with them.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, I noticed the difficulty leading to wanting to lean on the experts to tell us. They mentioned deprogramming groups, and I can relate to that, feeling like this is too hard, and who am I to say what the right answer is? And maybe I don't have the time or energy or space for this, and I'm going to let someone else handle it. And I noticed that turned into a reflection of, oh no, maybe all it takes is each and every one of us hanging on to our sense of community.
Beautiful. And compassion is, in fact, what we discovered in this journey was the magic ingredient. So, hey, thanks for talk back with me, Catherine. I really enjoyed the opportunity to chat with you.
Yes, me too. Let's wrap it up now.
Okay, so one thing I'm hoping you will do, Catherine, is will you add a little one sentence? We explored falling down the rabbit hole and then selected clips to play and discuss. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty darn well, although it was a little bit longer than the 5 minutes that we were aiming for. It's fast. It's so amazing how fast this process really is.
It happens quickly.
It did. I really think as a form of extemporaneous speaking that you taught public speaking, right? So this is as a pedagogy to get people to think on their feet is, I think, also that's another plus about it, I think. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Cool. So now it says, let me refresh my screen and see what it looks like now. Yeah, that's nice. Nice. Cool. Okay, so we're just going to sit and wait and hope that people are having success. The fact that nobody has called us in is a good sign, I think. I can
think so.
see from the breakout rooms that in room 4, Tamar is sharing her screen and talking. Bob in room 3, Bob is sharing his screen and Katie is talking. And Craig and Scott are not screen sharing, but there's talking going on. So
Great.
we'll just chill out. What we might do while we're waiting for, I wonder if I should give them a warning. Should I give them a little prod here and say 5 minutes remaining?
Yeah, they could go as long as 10 minutes if they wanted, I guess. Although if they come back sooner, we can help them upload to the Padlet if needed.
I'm going to say 8 minutes remaining. That would be 37, or no, wait, 37, 47, that'd be 45.
Mhm.
Okay. And then while we're waiting, why don't we just play some of the marvelous promotional we'll listen to the other one that we made. The other one that we made was quite good too, as I recall. Let's see. We'll listen to this one. Hey, I'm Renee Hobbs, and I'm here with my friend Catherine Morris, and we're using the portal to talk back around the topic of feelings and facts. The focus question is, why do stories, characters, and conflict change minds? Catherine, why'd you pick this one?
I picked this one. It's been top of mind for me lately because I saw an exchange online where someone said facts can change people's minds. And then someone gave them a bunch of articles about why that's not true. And they didn't change their mind. The irony of it is something I just wanted to revisit and see how people interact.
Love it. Okay.
We're at the portal now, and we're going to listen to what people had to say in response to some questions about conspiracy theories. So I want to listen to this one from Karen first.
Another one that I thought was crazy years ago, but they ended up making a movie about it. I think I hadn't seen the movie, was the moon landing being fake. Now, to me, I didn't really care at the time, and I thought, oh, this doesn't impact me. But if you work in that industry, or if if that's some people would feel very different about it.
Yeah.
Well,
that one's interesting to me and makes me feel like I understand what she's saying, and in the sense that doesn't impact me, but I could see how, even people not in that industry, it creates a distrust, right? And maybe she's recognizing that on some level. But it's not just how some people feel about it. If it's personal to them, there's a lot going on there with that conspiracy theory.
I really appreciate that point. Sometimes I see conspiracy theories as just entertainment, but you're right about how they create the feelings of distrust, and in this case, distrust against the government. All right, let's take a look at another one of these. All right, we're back at the portal. Let's listen to another clip.
I know it brings up that discomfort of kind of feeling like you might not be in the same tribe as someone, which can be a really uncomfortable feeling when you're trying to have this conversation with someone and you keep brushing up against very different understandings or ways of viewing the world.
Whoa. I really appreciate this quote because I feel like right now in our increasingly polarized society, we're feeling this way a lot every time I turn on the TV, practically. And I think it's interesting to underline that idea about how uncomfortable it is. All right, let's listen to another quote. Okay.
All right, we're back at the portal. Going to listen to another clip.
I guess that's why we're doing this, so that we can all learn to listen and help
with us think about why somebody might talk about something. Maybe they have a fear that we need to help them, get over and, or we need to understand, I don't know, they need to understand how even something that seems really simple might harm someone. So.
Yeah, this clip stood out to me because I've had that experience over the last few years, because of the way that things have shifted in the past few years. I had some friends who we had never really gone deeper into some of those serious conversations, and then with elections coming up and then the pandemic, we started having different conversations, and it was really jarring at first. And my first feeling was defensiveness of like, I didn't know this person was like that, and like that just being different than me. And it took a while and took some reflection to think about what's making them feel this way and why, and to approach it from a feeling of compassion and concern and wanting to connect with them instead of feeling fear based on their reactions.
Wow, great. Okay, this is our last clip.
And so then the question is, what is the goal? Is the goal to be right, or is the goal to try to build relationships of trust and peace? And
wow, Catherine, how do you understand that?
Yeah, this is a cool one because it's a participant having the same kind of moment that I had, where I felt like I could either further isolate people or I could continue to be a potential influence for them, and we could come together and know things together.
Yeah, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? Hey, listen, we just played a game called Talk Back, and we hope you'll try it because it's kind of fun. Anyway, I'm Renee Hobbs at the Media Education Lab. This is Courageous RI. Thanks again. Bye. Hey, so that turned out pretty good then, didn't it?
Sure did.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The power of improvisation brings out people, brings out good energy. And we're going to see what our groups are. Debbie, if you're just joining us. So we've got a bunch of people, 10 people, I think, in small groups. They're making a mini podcast and they only had 20 minutes to do it. We demonstrated it, and we'll share the recording with you so you can catch up on that, but it's not very difficult. And now we are waiting. We've just got a few more minutes before they come back, and we're going to hear what their experience was. What did they like about it? What questions did this raise for them? What was it like to talk back to people participating in a courageous conversation? Okay, I feel like I should close the rooms, right?
Mm-hmm. Give them their 60 seconds to rejoin.
There's the 60 seconds. Rooms are closing now. Okay, 60 seconds to come back. Let's hope they got it done. Okay, breakout rooms are going to close in 11 seconds. And then they'll be coming back. Okay. Hey, you're back. All right. Woohoo. All right. Okay. So let's see. Who was successful in making a mini podcast? Put your thumb up. Oh my God, they were. Miracle of miracles. Okay, so
Tony Spraggan, he did 2 thumbs. And confetti. What?
Woohoo! Double confetti. So let's do this. Let's make sure you get your thing posted. This is a big part of the success, is actually sharing it at the portal. So take a minute. Catherine, put that cue up for us again. And as we reflect on what did you notice about this type of dialogue and discussion experience? Whoever recorded it, you use the QR code and just upload it quickly. You can just put your names on it. And what did you notice about this type of dialogue and discussion experience? Who wants to go first?
So if I can go, so Scott and I had never met before, and here we are on a Zoom call, and we were like, what should we talk about? What should we talk about? And I have to be really honest, Scott chose something that I actually didn't want to talk about. But I thought, you know what? There's low stakes here, and it's something that Scott wants to talk about. I'll go with it. And I think that Scott offered me so much kindness, and he was really generous, that actually was it was sort of an interesting thing to think about and sort of like explore with in this environment.
Thanks for sharing. Wow.
And to add to that, I think it really helps having those existing clips. So instead of just starting with a blank page or what do you want to talk about, to kind of have something to bounce off of. So that was
Why
really
do you think being able to bounce off those existing clips made a difference? Like why did that make it, I don't know, easier?
kind of takes the pressure off, I think, of like, oh, that whole thing, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? This way, you know what you're going to talk about.
Thanks for sharing. What did you notice about this type of dialogue and discussion experience? What happened in your small group?
So I got the joy of learning a new person too, and he took care of me. Bless you, Bob. Thank you. So what I love about this though is you have three minds coming together here. And so just like one person back and forth. So I don't know if you know, Bob, he's a pretty smart guy too. So he was saying stuff that like expanded my thinking or made me make another connection. So you've got this like trifecta of awesomeness happening here of it's not just two sides. And we hear that a lot, but no, we got a third one working in this.
Yeah. And you know what? That's such an interesting way to think about it, isn't it? Because it's the same is true if we're responding to a book or a movie or a podcast. There's another mind in the room, right? And in this case, it's just that recorded voice. Thanks for sharing. What did you notice about this type of dialogue and discussion activity? What did you like about it? What was less fun about it? What did you notice about how you and your partner solved this problem?
I'll make a comment. Sorry. I think it's just it proves that like you have the power of podcasting is because it's just dialogue back and forth. And a lot of people have tension over like, oh, what are we going to talk about? But once you start talking, it's just what we do, right? We're natural storytellers through and through. And so give us, you take a third voice, but it's just a prompt. So you give somebody a prompt and you really could go on and on for a long time with it. So
Yep. In fact, Catherine and I found it was very difficult to stick to 5 minutes. We listened to our podcast and we gave ourselves a critique and we were like, well, like you said, we could talk for forever about this topic. Okay. So should we listen to a little bit of one? Yes, we should. Let's just take a little bit of time. Catherine, will you go to the Padlet wall and just play the first minute of each of the 3 productions that got made in just 20 minutes? Imagine that.
Right, let's do that. Give me just a second to pull it up and then let me know that you can see it effectively.
I can see it. I'll
Okay.
tell you if I can hear it. Holly, Tony, and Tamar.
Hey all.
we're here with our special guest and
Tony Zams.
And I'm Tamar Castillo. And we're going to be reacting to a TikTok. It's very random TikTok about a Rhode Island high school. And just, we're going to hear that, right? Should I replay this? I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
a
just a
minute.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one of the wildest stories I've ever heard coming out of Rhode Island right now. And by reading this headline, you would think this is some big scandal, right? I mean, you make the call, apparently there's 2 kids in the North Kingstown, Rhode Island school district that are identifying as cats, and they have been given litter boxes in the bathroom.
So that's just a little soundbite of that TikTok. And I don't know, what are your takes? We saw the full video.
Okay, pause. Now you guys are going to want to hear the rest of this, right?
Now
What a
is
great
pause.
setup.
Was that a pun when you said pause? Now, I have a quick question about the audio. So, how do you change the quality of the audio? Is that because at the first when Tamar introduced us, you couldn't even hear me saying that, and then I could tell that it was kind of wobbly. So, like Tony said, he's done a ton of podcasting. If the audio isn't good, people turn out.
Exactly.
Tune
So
off.
this is a low stakes production activity where it's not so much about the quality. What Catherine and I found that if we place the microphone super close to what the Zoom source is, the quality gets a little bit better. Right? But in this case, this is more about the process than the product. If we were getting really fancy and we wanted to use 2 classroom periods, we might add a little music at the front and a little music at the back, because music makes a great podcast. But did you notice how you guys kind of approached it like a podcast? Hey, Catherine, will you play the next one, the Craig and Scott? Will you play the first minute or minute and a half of theirs?
Hi, my name is Scott Moss, and I am in Los Angeles, California. Craig, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Greg Dale, and I'm in Princeton, New Jersey.
Princeton. Yeah, I went there for lunch. Okay. Let me see here.
Uh-oh, what happened there?
I don't know. I did, I recorded. I didn't listen to it after I recorded it. Maybe something went wrong with the recording.
It's
Can you-
possible it's possible it's because I muted myself because I was going to respond in the chat. Let's see if that was the problem.
If you think of Rush Limbaugh, my favorite, listening in my mom's car as a child, not really understanding the politics of what I was hearing and just understanding how angry he seemed and how righteously angry he seemed. Like he definitely delivered everything he said as though he was completely justified.
Okay, so that's interesting. Craig, does that make you think of anything in particular, or any experience you've had with these kind of conflict entrepreneurs?
Oh, are we still recording right now?
Yeah, I just leaving.
Okay.
The recording. I can pause it if need be, but
No, that's fine. I want to make sure I'm sort of, for some reason I thought they said pause, but here we go.
Yeah.
I have very definite political views that I really try to avoid the mainstream news as much as I can. And I think that, someone like Rush Limbaugh, we could name a whole lot of names on both the left and right. The thing that is lost in the conversation is that Rush Limbaugh's job, or anybody who's currently on television news, their job is to deliver consumers to advertisers.
All right, Catherine, you can pause. So isn't it cool how we as we respond to other people's ideas, we inevitably engage in sharing information, sharing opinions, sharing our personal experiences. We think that this TalkBack method, simple way to create a dialogue and discussion experience. We've tried it with our own students, and we found that talking to somebody you don't know or you don't know well is a skill, and it benefits from practice. You might make modifications to this activity as you roll it out with your students, and we will look forward to learning more about what you explore. But we do want you to think about inviting your students to submit to the Youth Media Contest. The judges have clearly stated in their criteria for evaluating that the quality of the ideas and information is more important than the production values of the project. And so we're looking for work that speaks to these complicated topics in ways that are authentic and real. Talking about conflict entrepreneurs, influencers, that can be just the ticket for navigating this, this place where hate and fear are being stirred up by all different kinds of media. All right. So Catherine, do you have any last words about the contest, submitting to the contest, and or this crazy TalkBack pedagogy we've been playing around with?
Yeah, all I'll say is I hope you all had fun, and we appreciate your creativity and vulnerability and courage in this process. And we hope to see some audio submissions from any students you teach or just know. Like we said at the top, we don't have a whole lot of audio submissions yet. So if you find someone who will submit one, they have a good chance at one of our cash prizes.
Even if you only use this activity as a pre-production activity, just to get people warmed up, that can also be very powerful, because a lot of our identities as authors are all full of anxiety. And there's something really freeing about realizing that a conversation about something can be super engaging. So thanks for being part of it today. I'm Renee Hobbs at Media Education Lab. Catherine, you rock, my friend. I loved making a mini podcast with you. And you guys, thanks for coming. We're really glad you're here. We're going to put this recording on the website and share it with people that might want to try this pedagogy out for themselves. But we're really glad you were here. Thanks again. Happy Monday.
Send a link to us then that attended.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, here, I'll put that link to you right now, because it'll have the video will be up in like a minute or two.
Oh my.
So here we go. Mini podcast demonstration lesson. Let me see if I can give that link to you right now at the Media Education Lab. Here's the link, and you can share it with your community. It's anything to lower the bar, I think, of making media is a good thing. Turns out people have fun and learn all at the same time. Okay, so there it is in the chat. We'll put the YouTube video there. So if you came a little bit late, you'll be able to catch up with us. Have fun, and thanks for being part of it.
Hey, thanks so much.
All right, bye now.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Renee. Good to see you, Renee.
Hi, Renee. I have a quick question on Catherine.
Sure.
They have to be a currently enrolled, but a recent graduate qualify who is not yet working?
A recent graduate, that is a great question. Do you have to be a current student? I do not think the student identity is that important. I think it's an age thing. So I think if this person is in the age of a college student age, right? That's probably
I think you said 12 to 25, right?
12 to 25.
Okay, that helps. Great, thank you.
Do you have any other questions, Debbie?
I never did figure out how to.
I'm going to watch the recording.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much, though.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. And no, you never found how to upload? Oh, yeah.
No, I couldn't get back even, I couldn't even find the app anymore.
Ah,
So-
well, no
Help
worries.
you right now,
Please
Bob,
remember
if you'd
this.
like.
Pardon?
I can stay on for a moment to help you if you like.
Yeah, it would be helpful to know how to use this. I appreciate that, Catherine.
Sure. So
So
you
I don't
have
even
the
see the app on my phone. I go through all of the little icons and I don't even see it. And I got to it
oh, the
more
voice
by
memo app?
searching. Pardon?
The voice memo app?
Yeah. So I went
but
to the App Store, and then if I go to voice memo,
but you did use it originally.
yeah. Well,
Record it?
first I downloaded one that I had to cancel because they wanted money. Now it's voice memo utilities, and it just says open. Okay, so now I have this thing. Oh, I have to click done. Okay. I
So
didn't
for
do that.
me, I pull down and then it lets me actually search apps that I already have on my phone. I'm not sure if that's helpful.
You, just a second. I just got into it through
Oh, good.
the App Store. Okay, so this just labeled it Bent Tree Drive for some reason.